Greetings and salutations. My name is OJ as always, and welcome back to another episode of the Overwatch-a-thon, a series of videos where I go over every single character in, Overwatch. I'll be covering their lore and personality, their gameplay and abilities, as well as their design and their cosmetics. Like, comment and subscribe if you feel so inclined and if you enjoy the rest of the video. And with all of that preamble done and dusted, today's object of obsession is none other than the woman with the sun at her fingertips, that being Illari. Now, as I like to do in all of these videos thus far, I'd like to start by reading off Illari's not in-game, but you get the idea, her background and her story, which reads as such. Illari's childhood was a happy one, but from the outset, she was told that she would become an Inti warrior, which, as a point of reference, the Inti warriors are kind of a oddly mysterious group. We don't actually know, anything about them, outside of the fact that they were protectors and, more importantly, users and masters of solar energy, which is, of course, what it sounds like. It is energy powered by the sun. No shit. And they were equipped with solar rifles and healing pylons, which, of course, are the same tools that Illari uses in-game. And we also, I'm not kidding, we know nothing about this group. I'm just going to say that first and foremost. We know nothing about this group, besides that they were, protectors of, presumably, Runasapi? Presumably, protectors of Peru, maybe? I don't really know anything else about them besides that. Or, well, I say I mean we. As a collective, none of us should know anything more. If one of you lot have secret info that I don't know, that isn't on the wiki, I would like to know it. I mean, the most interesting thing about the group is that Inti, the first part of their name, is a reference to the sun god in Incan mythology, which, it's kind of cool. But either way, returning to Illari's story, she wished to become a part of the Inti warriors, and as such, she demanded training at a very early age. Even then, her potential was enormous. Her trainers believed that she would become the strongest warrior of her time. She bowed to the desires of her community, dedicating her free time to training so that one day she might live up to the legend already growing around her. Finally, her hard work and sacrifices paid off, and she became the youngest person to join the Inti warriors. Now, as per tradition, Illari was subjected to solar threading augmentation, which is a process in which Inti warriors imbued the ability to control and store the sun's power into them. Those tattoos on Illari's body are actually the solar threads, which allow her to control, the sun and the powers that it has. Though it isn't particularly explained how that exactly works. I'm not sure how it works. It's not really listed properly. But either way, the Inti warriors gathered at the ceremonial chamber, ready to welcome her with open arms. However, no one could have been prepared for the true extent of her power. The procedure caused a devastating amount of solar energy to explode from her body, causing the entire chamber to be destroyed and for every last Inti warrior to be killed. And so was the future that Illari had spent her entire life preparing for. In just that one moment, by some unexplainable reason, every last Inti warrior was dead. All of them. I mean all of them. They as a group do not, by technicality, exist anymore. Because during these rituals, all of the Inti warriors would come together and come into the same chamber to kind of bestow the solar threading onto the person in the weird machine that's depicted. So as a result, because every single Inti warrior was in the room, and then Illari exploded, the entire tribe, per se, or entire group, is gone. And unable to face anyone after the tragedy, Illari isolated herself, refusing anyone's sympathy. She replayed the accident over and over in her head, unable to help but wonder whether things could have been different if she had never been pressured to strive for greatness. She wondered if it was her fault that no one knew the true extent of her power. Whatever the truth may have been, she blamed herself for the tragedy regardless. And with no clear path left to follow, she continued her daily training despite having no one to guide her, determined to make up for what she'd done. Over time, it became clear that she was the last of the Inti warriors and had to face the world alone. Now, I have a huge problem with Illari's kind of story, and that's the fact it just stops here. That's it. Illari has nothing else. I'm not kidding. I don't know why, but this is it. That's all of her story. She was part of the Inti Warriors, which is a group that isn't really explained too well. She got solar threading, which is a concept that isn't particularly explained too well. Like, it's just, you get these odd tattoos that allow you to control the sun or solar energy. Like, it's not completely far-fetched, all things considered. I mean, look at the current day. We have solar panels. Solar panels can be used to create energy out of sunlight. It's not completely out of the question that, say, in, I don't know when Overwatch takes place, I'm going to eyeball it at like 2090 or something, that the technology to control the sun through our bodies exists. Sure, but it's not particularly well explained. Like, why do all of the Inti Warriors have to be in the ceremony at the same time to bestow the power upon a person? How does the ceremony and how does the ritual actually play out through this weird machine that's depicted in some of the artwork? Like, how do they actually like control the solar energy? Like, is it a mental thing? Is it a physical thing? Like, they have the tattoos on their body, so I would presume it was like a physical thing, because that's how, well, the thing is, the solar threading appears as tattoos on the body, but they're not actually tattoos. They're like imbued into the skin. Like, do they turn parts of their skin into solar panels to control the sun? The Inti Warriors are a group that's kind of just left straight up mysterious. Like, I looked at the wiki page for them, and it literally says they were soldiers utilized by the, I'm going to really butcher this name, I apologize in advance, but the Paquarina research group. If you look up the research group, we don't know anything about them, besides that they were the organization that utilized the Inti Warriors. Awesome. What is this research group? What are they researching? Do we know anything about them? No, we do not. So why do they need the Inti Warriors? Why are they there? To be used as a group of soldiers? Who are they protecting their cities from outside of, you know, like generic threats such as Null Sector and the such, or Talon? Like, Illari's lore is just not explained. Like, it's just not well explained, at least in my opinion. The Inti Warriors are a mystery for the most part. Solar threading is confusing and doesn't really make much sense and isn't elaborated upon properly enough. And as a result, she just, as a character, kind of falls flat for me. I mean, it's a tragedy, sure, but I don't want to, like, say it's a kind of a generic tragedy, but it certainly feels that way. It feels like this happened to give her some form of a character, or some form of a sad backstory, because outside of this, she doesn't really have much. There's no story for her. This is all she has. She has her initial background, which explains the tragedy, and that explains why her personality is the way it is, but we don't know anything about her. And she came out in season 6. That was like almost 2 years ago. Like, and she's had nothing since. And most of the characters that released after her either had more lore or had some form of build up to their release. Like, just as a point of reference, well, actually, a good comparison is the 2 characters that came out immediately after her. That being Mauna and Venture. Venture is in a similar spot to Illari, where they just don't have anything. They have their initial background, but have not gotten anything since then. Whereas someone like Mauna is a character that was revealed in Overwatch 1, built up to, given, you know, stuff leading up to his existence. But more importantly, Mauna got, like, you know, a comic when he came out, and he got an animated short. But Illari didn't get anything. Illari doesn't have anything. She doesn't have a comic. She doesn't have an animated short. She has her backstory, like every other character, but that's it. Venture, as well, only has their comic. Well, even then, Venture has more than Illari. They have their initial trailer and their reveal, and they have a comic as well. Like, I don't know why Illari just has nothing. Like, even moving further beyond that, we have Juno and Hazard. Juno had a comic when she came out, and has had further lore developments outside of, you know, her initial introduction. Hazard has his initial lore comic, and has had some small bits of, you know, Hazard got an animated trailer as well. Juno got an animated trailer. Both of them got, like, cinematics. But Illari just has seemingly got nothing on her release, and more importantly, has not been developed further beyond that. She has gotten nothing. Literally, story-wise, she has gotten absolutely nothing. That does annoy me, and as a result, it just means her story doesn't do much for me. Like, it's sad, of course, that, you know, her entire tribe died because of, well, at least she believes it was because of herself. obviously that's not the case. We don't know what went wrong as well. Like, that's kind of the issue. We don't know what went wrong with her solar threading that caused her to just explode and kill, the entire Inti warriors. But I don't, like, it's just kind of, how do I put this? Like, that's sad. Yeah, but like, it just kind of happens. And the weight of that decision or the weight of that kind of tragedy isn't really emphasized very often. Like, of course, Illari kind of feels that a lot, and that is expressed through her interactions. Because speaking of her personality, for the most part, she is a very reserved person, very quiet and quite depressed. A lot of her interactions are usually kind of her dealing with the guilt or kind of scolding people for being like jokey. She's got like lines with Venture where she says to Venture, like, can you stop joking around all the time? Says it to Wu Yang as well. Like, when she kills Wu Yang, she says like, oh, stop joking around. This is no time for playing games. And she's obviously someone who struggles a lot with, suffering and pain and regret and all of this self-doubt. Admittedly, maybe too much at times. I mean, she has a line when she kills Ramatra where she goes, what do you know about suffering? Who are you saying that to again? You're talking about Ramatra. What does he know about suffering? Are you serious right now? Like, to talk about privilege. Sorry, talk about, let's put this in, what do you call it? Overwatch time. Human privilege. I feel like that's the word Ramatra would use in that situation. What do you know about suffering? Like, a girl, I understand you going through a lot. I understand you got a lot of weight and guilt on your shoulder, but you should not be comparing yourself or trying to like trauma scale. Like, why are you power scaling your trauma to Ramatra's? That's not how that works. But like, Illari is fine enough personality wise. She is relatively depressed, relatively stricken with guilt a lot of the time, and that does result in her not being particularly like fun to listen to. In a sense, like, a lot of the characters in Overwatch are usually quite fun to listen to in some way, shape, or form, but Illari is, for the most part, serious all the time, outside of, like, 2 or 3 interactions. And, I mean, yeah, that makes sense for her, but it just results in her not being, like, someone I particularly enjoy listening to the interactions of, because they usually just kind of like, oh, that's kind of sad. But not, like, in an interesting way. I don't know, it's just kind of, I don't want to say it's, like, artificial sadness, but it certainly feels that way sometimes. It feels like that is all she has to her, personality-wise. Like, she has the tragedy, and she is obviously stricken with guilt over that. I don't know, it's just, she's not a character that I've ever really clicked with, mostly due to the fact that her story has not been expanded upon, and is kind of just vague. And judging from how she was developed, presumably, like, her development period started with, the Overwatch team wanting to make a character related to the sun. It's just, I don't know. Illari is just a character that story-wise feels very much unfinished, and personality-wise isn't someone that I particularly, enjoy listening to. And I mean, I feel bad for her, of course. Like, her tragedy is going to follow her no matter where she goes. And that's sort of like, this is the issue with a game like Overwatch. In any other game, say this was a story game, Illari would probably have a story arc of coming to accept that she isn't to be responsible for the tragedy that happened, that her guilt shouldn't weigh her down because it wasn't her fault. I'm sure that she would have some great story arc about that, but this is Overwatch. This is an online multiplayer hero shooter, and she'll never get that chance. And considering she's been out since, season 6, and she still hasn't developed, yeah, she's not getting that chance. And that does upset me, but she's not a character I, like, super duper care for. So as a result, it's just kind of like when Ramatra was just getting neglected day in, day out, I was really, really pissed, because there's a lot of potential there. Like, there's a lot of stuff. Like, of course, when I eventually get to Ramatra, I will blabber on about it for hours on end. But, like, he had a lot, and he was getting neglected, and for no good reason. Illari getting neglected, it's just like, I don't really care, because her story is, I mean, it'd be nice for her story to, be explained upon and further developed, but it's just, I don't even see how she fits into Overwatch. Like, anyone can be part of Overwatch, right? But, like, why is she actually playable? She has no links at all to anyone at all. Like, people complain that Lifeweaver kind of came out of nowhere and didn't really have many links, but he did. Lifeweaver had links to Symmetra, and had links to Vishkar, and had links to Zenyatta as well. Like, characters that are, you know, pre-established and have something to go off of. Illari doesn't have anyone she's linked to in any way, shape, or form, to my knowledge, and is just kind of here. Like, there was a time and point in, you know, Overwatch's past where people were saying, like, oh, these characters just feel like OCs. They feel like they were just made up. And Illari is, like, the main one where I kind of feel that. People threw that accusation at, like, Lifeweaver and Venture, and I didn't really feel that for the two of them. Venture, maybe, they kind of do just exist. They kind of just are there. But actually, yeah, Illari and Venture have a lot of similarities now I think about it, in terms of the way that their stories are kind of just neglected and not really explained upon, and are kind of just there. They don't really have much of a reason to be in Overwatch. Not to say, you know, you need to justify your existence for being in Overwatch, but like characters like Hazard. Hazard doesn't like Overwatch at all. But they established his backstory, that he has a community, he has a reason to be fighting, he has all of this, like, I don't know. I just feel really weird about Illari, Venture, and their inclusions. I don't like how they're kind of weirdly neglected, like the both of them. And again, you're not gonna accuse Blizzard of anything, but it's awfully curious that both of these characters are, you know, like people of color, and they're kind of being neglected. And instead, we're giving the attention to characters such as Juno and Hazard, characters who are, you know, very pale skinned. I'm not gonna accuse no one of nothing, but I'm just noticing a pattern. That's all. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, I did in fact lie. This section is way longer than I actually thought it would be. But this is the end of the section about her story and personality. And with that said, I'd like to now move on to talking about her gameplay and her abilities. Please do keep in mind that for this section, I use OBS to record my audio and gameplay simultaneously, so if I sound slightly different, I do apologise in advance. But with that said, let us now talk about Illari's gameplay and abilities. Right, so here we are in the ever so lovely and ever so helpful training range to talk about Illari's gameplay, which thankfully is, you know, far more finished than her story. And I don't say that in a mean way. I feel like I got very angry during the story segment, and I feel like I say all of that because I actually am kind of interested in Illari and her story. I want more further explanation on the solo threading. I want more explanation on the Inti Warriors, but it's been like 2 years almost, and we have not gotten it. So I'm not very hopeful, and I'm kind of frustrated. But anyways, moving on. Let's start with her weapon, that being the solar rifle. Now it has a alt fire and a normal fire, and its normal fire is a kind of, well, obviously I can show you, a kind of single shot blast. It is hit scan, I feel like I should mention that, meaning that it immediately hits whenever you press the trigger. It has, let's check the stats. Check the stats. Now you probably noticed there's a little bar in the middle of my screen, as you can see, and whenever I shoot it, that bar goes down. Well, that's because this weapon, obviously, charges up to fire at full power. You can just spam click it, and you'll get, like, half charge if you click as fast as possible. But, of course, if you let it fully charge, you'll, you know, do the maximum amount of damage. Now, the actual amount of damage you'll be dealing, at minimum charge, it is 20 to 6, because, of course, there is damage fall-off, so it does 20 damage and does 6 at a further distance. And at max charge, you do 70 damage, or 21, depending on, you know, damage fall off. There isn't a way to tell you exactly how much damage you'll be dealing, but it's kind of a general ballpark. You'll probably, for the most part, solar rifle is very good from, like, longer ranges. I know 21 damage sounds like, you know, awful, but it's pretty decent from, like, mid-range, kind of, that's kind of where you want to be playing Illari anyways, kind of like a mid-range point. I mean, actually, no, you can see the fall-off range. I'm stupid. Min-max fall-off range is 30 to 50 meters. So you'll only be doing that 21 damage at a range of 50 meters, which is just as a show, of course. That's like here. That's like here. Do you see this? This is a long-range weapon. This is a absurd distance. Like, it says, obviously, the fall-off only starts at 30 meters. And, like, 30 meters for 70 damage from this distance? That's not bad at all. And obviously, due to its nature as a hit scan weapon, and the fact it does, you know, 70 damage, which is, you know, quite good for a support, she can, you know, do a lot of headshot damage. Like, that's what, 3 shots? And of course, you don't have to fully charge it. I would recommend it. But there can be cases where you can just, you know, Like, look, the damage there is like really bad. I'm gonna be honest. You should just be waiting to like fully charge it, just in my personal opinion. Unless the enemy in front of you is literally on a sliver of health, you should be trying to fully charge your shots every time. But if they're on a sliver, just, start spamming, really. But yeah, the actual normal weapon is quite strong, all things considered. Does a shockingly decent amount of damage. Like, Illari can actually, like, contest DPSs. Like, Ashe, Cass, characters that kind of, work well from that mid-range point. Illari can actually 1v1 them, and sometimes win. Well, actually, usually can win. Mostly due to the fact that she has, self-healing through her pylon, but of course I'll mention her pylon when we get to it. And as I did mention earlier, she does also have an alt fire, which is a beam that can be channeled to do healing. It does 105 healing per second, has a kind of energy bar, like so for example, of course I like to show these things. If you press your right click, you'll shoot a beam out and you'll get like a bar on your screen that shows you how much energy you have. And as you can see, the healing is very good. It's very good, kind of quick, concentrated healing. And the bar, takes not that long to fully charge up again. And as I mentioned, it does 115 healing over second. Its energy will how much is that? Like 28.5 per second. That's a weird number. That's a very weird number to use up per second. But either way, you can basically shoot it for give or take 3.5 seconds before it fully runs out. And if you say don't make it fully run out, it regens at 43% per second, which again is a very awkward number. I don't know why Blizzard decides on these things. But if you fully use up the beam, so just as an example, it does take actually quite a while to fully use it up, but you will be unable to use the beam and it will go on cooldown, per se, for 0.6 seconds. As I said, this is very good. Honestly, this is really good concentrated healing. And for the most part, you do want to kind of not fully use it up. Like, because if you get caught fully using it up, well, then you literally are missing one of your main sources of healing for a decent period. Like 0.6 seconds, that doesn't sound very long. But in a, game of Overwatch, everyone's fighting all the time. Everyone's taking damage here, there, everywhere. If you are unable to do your, I'll put it in quotes, burst healing. It is burst healing, really. Let's be honest. It is basically burst healing. But if you're unable to do that, and say your tank takes a bunch of damage, or a DPS is on critical, and you can't heal them with your beam, you're not. They're dead. Like, they are dead. Let's be honest. They are dead. But yeah, her healing is very good. Just from her, actual alt fire alone, it's really good healing. Of course, you don't have to single target it. You can, of course, kind of, give it to multiple different allies. And the good thing is, as I said, she does quite impressive damage, all things considered. So when you're, say you've healed up a ally, when you're waiting for the bar to come back up, you can still, actually be a benefit to the team, because you do, really solid damage, all things considered. It's actually I'm actually kind of impressed with how Illari or Illari, I'd say, you probably mentioned I've kind of mistakenly said her name a few times now. It's because her name is actually Illari. When in doubt of how to say a character's name, just check Echo. Echo, of course, can duplicate everyone, and she usually says their name right. For the longest time, I called Maugwa, when his name is actually Mauna. And for the longest time, I've called Illari, or longest time I've called Illari, when it's actually Illari. You get the idea. You understand what I'm trying to say. I do apologize if I mess up her name here and there. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Illari is kind of good. She is very solid support. She does good burst healing. She has shockingly good damage. Like, there have been, times where at the end of the game, I've seen Illari's with damage that contest our DPSs, but she also has like 13k healing on the side. She's a weird character who's kind of a merger of a DPS and a support. Like, obviously that will become more evident when we get to her ultimate, but she is kind of a weird merger between the two because of her high damage output and her surprisingly decent healing output. The thing is, though, she doesn't have much utility per se outside of, just raw healing. And to kind of show that per se, let's talk about her most important ability. I'll talk about Outburst in a minute, but this is a very important ability, the healing pylon. And per its name, you deploy a pylon that heals allies. It has 125 health in total, with 75 of it being actual health and 50 of it being shield. It does 40 healing every blast. It takes... I don't actually know what the delay is between shots, I must admit. Because it doesn't actually say, like, oh, it's 40 per second, or, like... That's weird, actually. Why does it not say that? I don't know. I actually don't know in any way, shape, or form why it doesn't say how much healing it is per second. Either way, the heal range for it is 15 meters. The cooldown for it is kind of odd. It has a 14-second cooldown, but say you just throw it out, it's actually got a 7-second cooldown, but if it gets destroyed by an enemy, it then goes on cooldown for 14 seconds. So, like, you can see the cooldown in the corner, right? Like, next to the name of it on this kind of keywords, details screen. It says 14 seconds. If you chuck it out the first time, it only goes on cooldown for 7 seconds. But if it gets destroyed, it goes on the full cooldown for 14 seconds. It takes 1.3 seconds to build. It has a 3-second in-combat lockout? What on earth is that? I have no clue. I usually try to make these guides or these videos, videos, whatever you want to call them, as kind of like detailed as possible. I have no idea what in-combat lockout means. I'm going to be completely real with you. I know if it gets, like, if you destroy it yourself, like, say, for example, I destroy it immediately, like, it's on 7-second cooldown. But if it gets destroyed by an enemy, which unfortunately I can't really show unless you want to watch these bots shoot the pylon for, like, ages. Can they even shoot the pylon? Yeah, they can slowly chip away at it. It's worth showing, though. Like, the healing is... Yeah, it is like 40 per second, kind of. But yeah, if it gets destroyed, it goes on the full 14-second cooldown, even if, you know, you'd already had it ready to be... And I feel like... Oh, I'm such an idiot. I've just realized what the in-combat lockout means. Okay, so, as you notice, you can press... Well, for me, it's F. You can press F to destroy your pylon, right? If it gets shot, that ability to destroy your pylon yourself will go on cooldown for 3 seconds, meaning that you can't destroy it yourself, you have to let the enemies destroy it, and as a result, you have to wait for the full 14-second cooldown instead of just being able to, you know, immediately chuck out another one. Right, I understand now, all makes sense, everything works. If you can hear my dog barking, I do apologize. He does do that sometimes. But yeah, like, okay, back to what I was saying. Pylon, good pylon, good. You can obviously throw the pylon, like, anywhere you want, like, up on a wall. You can get some really nice, tricky spots sometimes. I don't know if I can really show any. Maybe I could, actually, if I kind of wedge it in there. Okay, it doesn't let me wedge it in there. That's stupid. That's a stupid range. It is obviously blocked by line of sight. Its healing is surprisingly good. Like, as you can see, it's, you know, actually kind of going at it. And I think it is 40 per second. I don't know why they don't have that listed on the detail screen. But yeah, her pylon is her other main source of healing outside of her alt fire. And the idea with a pylon is that, say, you kind of have to place it in places where it will be able to reach your teammates and have line of sight with them, but not have line of sight with the enemies for it to be destroyed. So you can, you know, act passive. It's kind of like passive healing in a sense. You kind of just chuck it somewhere where, say, for example, in this instance, this enemy wouldn't be able to shoot the pylon, but the pylon would be able to heal my ally. You know, pretty good. And it does, you know, decent healing. And it's kind of there to make up for the fact that, you know, you have to wait for your beam to recharge. Like, say, obviously, right there, like, oh, I've just healed this ally over here. I'm not able to heal this dude with the beam. This is able to kind of consistently keep the healing on them whilst I'm unable to heal with my alt fire. I would like to point out as well that enemies can see the beam, so they do know that your pylon is here. They can see it and they can, you know, come around and attack it and destroy it, which when your pylon is down, you are at a significant disadvantage because like some of your big healing, like the pylon will do a lot of healing. Like, let's be honest, like just in, oh, I wish they tracked your stats in the practice range. The pylon will do a lot of healing, right? Just passively being around, existing, helping out, etc. On top of, you know, the healing from your alt fire. But when it gets destroyed, you are at a disadvantage. Your healing is not good enough to sustain a team on its own, if that makes sense. Like, she's not really a main healer per se. At least I wouldn't argue, because when her healing pylon goes down, say you have a team consisting of, I don't know, who's a good Zenyatta and Illari. That's a bad team comp, because when your pylon goes down, man, You, Zen and Illari don't have enough healing just to sustain the team when the pylon goes down. It's just not good enough. So she definitely, to me, feels like an off support. Someone that needs to be paired alongside someone like maybe, I don't know, someone who has a good healing output, someone like Anna, Mercy, Lifeweaver. I know Lifeweaver's just debatable whether he's a main healer, but Lifeweaver's healing is really good, and it's all he can really do. Like that, well, I say really good. Maybe. Debatable. It's kind of debatable on whether that's the case, but you get the idea. She's not really like your main healer. She'll be the off healer, the one who will be support, or kind of be like a side healer. And that is further emphasized through the fact that, you know, as I said, she has really good damage. So she does have benefits. She's not like an off healer that's just kind of useless. She does actually have benefit. Like, her healing is really good when both of these is up. But once that goes down, she is at a disadvantage. And that's where you need that other healer to be good at healing to kind of, you know, make up for that weakness in your kit. But even when this is down, you're still able to do decent burst healing with your alt fire, but also do really good damage with your solar rifle. Because again, as I said earlier, a rifle does a lot of damage. Like, you can contest DPSs. You can usually come out of the game with about as much damage as your own DPSs. So yeah, Illari is a support, but she definitely does have that DPS spark in her that causes her to be an off support. But anyways, the healing pylon, just to round out that segment on that ability, is a very good ability. You do need to be smart where you place it, but if you place it in a good position, man, the amount of healing you're going to be doing with this is insane. On top of course, your alt fire. And it kind of allows you to play more aggressively. Like, if your healing pylon is healing people and your team isn't really in need of your alt fire healing, just start shooting people. That, like, whenever you're not healing someone, shoot them. not the teammates, of course, but the enemies. You get the idea. Anyways, moving on to our final normal ability, we have Outburst, where you launch yourself in the direction you are moving, knocking back enemies. You can hold jump to go higher. I didn't know that. Wow, okay. Wow, I really wish I knew that, actually, when I was playing her. Huh. Either way, it does 25 damage, which is, of course, just kind of a measly addition. Its radius is 8 meters. You get a speed of 6 meters per second, or 13.5 meters per second, depending on whether you tap or hold it. And the knockback is 18.7 meters per second. What is it with Blizzard and awkward numbers? Either way, when you press shift, you explode outwards and you'll move in whatever direction you were moving, and you'll knock enemies back and do a, you know, tiny bit of damage to them. So if I were moving backwards, I would get launched upwards and backwards. That is not how I really would have thought that would work, actually. Hold on, why did it do that? Why did I go so hard? I'm not even holding jump, by the way. Like, that just launched me upwards and backwards for some reason. But if I move forward, it just launches me directly forwards? Huh. This ability is actually weirder than I thought. What if I move sideways? Why is it when backwards you get that extra height? Well, anyways, if you actually hold jump like I am, you will, you know, manage to go higher, I think. So if I say I'm holding down my spacebar, shift. Yeah, okay, no, you can actually get the extra distance. Man, I really wish I had known that. This character's been out for what? How many? Like almost 2 years now, and I didn't know this. Wow, you know, this is a learning experience for us all. We're all learning new things here. I'm learning new things. You're probably not learning new things, because I feel like a lot of you probably already understand how Illari's kit works, but besides the point. This is a decent ability. It's kind of a get off me, and it's your escape tool, per se. Oh, someone's dove you, I don't know, Genji, Tracer, something. Not come back. Oh no, someone's chasing after me. Oh, I'm just gonna fly away. Oh, I actually managed to get that. It's just kind of a get off me tool. That's all it really is. It's kind of get people off of you, get to higher ground, get to different places. Maybe say someone's chasing after you, you fly yourself forward and push them backwards, which give you more distance. Now I'm kind of curious. Man, you really can go high with that. And I think if you use it when standing still, it launches you straight upwards. Yeah, it does. It's kind of like Freya's dashes, where if you just use it standing still, you'll go up instead of any direction. Yeah, this is kind of a get off me tool, get away from me tool. I mean, she even has a line when she uses it where she gets get away from me. So yeah, simple ability, nothing really to say about it. And then of course, to round it all out, we have her ultimate, which, yeah, there's a wall of text here. This is called Captive Sun. You fire an explosive ball of solar energy. Enemies hit by it are slowed and explode after taking significant damage. It does 55 damage on a direct hit, and 50 area of effect damage. That's in reference to the projectile. Yeah, actually, before we go into the actual deets of it, let's just show how it looks. You press Q, you begin to fly. You have full control, by the way, flying, and then you fire the projectile, and it will place this debuff on the enemies. And if you do enough damage, they then explode. It's like a damage over time effect, or no, not a damage over time effect. It's kind of a negative status effect. Like, so you shoot it, they explode, and usually that explosion does enough damage to then chain into other explosions, and then before you know it, the entire enemy team is dead. It does also, I may struggle to show this. It will probably take me a while to get over here. But if it hits a moving target, it does actually apply a movement slow to them. Hefty movement slow to them, mind you. So actually, to discuss the details of the ability, as I said, it does 55 damage on a direct hit and 50 area of effect damage. That's for the projectile, the actual sun that you shoot. The sun-struck damage, so the explosion that gets triggered, does 160 to 120 damage. And again, that is an area of effect. Here's a fun fact. There is actually damage fall off for the explosion damage for some reason. I don't know why the explosion damage has a damage fall off. Like, it does 120 damage if you're far away, or 160 when you're in like mid-range close up, which is weird. Then the actual damage threshold for Sunstruck is 90 damage. So you need to do 90 damage to them to actually cause the explosion to happen. The actual status effect lasts for 6 seconds. The radius of the projectile's explosion is 8 meters. The Sunstruck explosion has a distance of 1 to 5 meters for some reason. The duration of your flight is 4 seconds. The movement speed bonus when flying is 45%. The enemy movement speed penalty is minus 40% to minus 0%, which I believe is... I think the movement speed wears off quite quickly. Like, the movement speed penalty wears off after a second or two. Like, I think it's like after 3 seconds, you're back to normal move speed. I think that's how it works. And when you're flying, you have knockback resistance, and it's an extra 50%. Whew, there's a lot there, right? And here's some fun facts. There's a lot to this ability, all things considered. Due to the fact that Sunstruck is classified as a negative status effect, it can be cleansed. So Kiriko can cleanse it, and as someone pointed out underneath the comments of my Anna video, Zarya's bubbles can cleanse it. I do forget sometimes that Zarya's bubbles can actually cleanse status effects. So yeah, you can actually... So Kiriko can kind of be your worst enemy, because you can ult the entire enemy team, and then it all just gets cleansed, and you just get nothing from it. You actually do nothing. You do 50 damage, like with the actual projectile, and that's it. Like, you can get countered hard by Kiriko. Just like, say, Junker Queen, you do need to keep your eye on Kiriko when you want to use your ult, and you have to wait for the Suzu. You have to wait for it. But of course, as well, as I mentioned, this does a lot. I mean, it does a lot, and as I also mentioned earlier, Illari is kind of a pseudo DPS, and this is the biggest example of it outside of her, already pretty solid damage. This is not a support ultimate. This does not benefit the team per se. This does not support the team. This doesn't give them healing, doesn't give them shields, doesn't give them anything outside of being able to kill the enemy team easier. And I will admit, this ult is very good under the right circumstances. If there are a few enemies like kind of chunked up together, they will die. I'm not joking, because as it says, Sunstruck does 160 damage. So say you land it on 3 people, right? You hit the tank directly, that's 55 damage. And then once one of them blows up, the other 2 start blowing up, and then that's what? So 160 times 3, that's a measly 480 damage. 480 on top of the fact that you need to do 90 damage to hit the threshold in the first place, so you're going to be doing a decent amount. Like, this can be a team wipe. Under the right circumstances, with the right team coordination, this can wipe a team. And yeah, this is a DPS ult. This is by all definitions a DPS ult. There's nothing about this that screams support in any way, shape or form, but it is a pretty good ult, because as I said, you can kind of just, kill an entire team with it. Or you can be greedy, and you can be cheesy, and you can be pathetic and petty, like me and solo ult people. Say there is a Mercy that is just really, really getting on your nerves. She's really being annoying. You just can't hit her. She just keeps healing the whole team, and she's just kind of thorn in everyone's side. Just nuke her. Just actually nuke her. There is no shame in solo ulting an enemy. There is no shame in that. I'm going to be honest. If they are a priority pick, there is no shame in doing it. Don't solo ult a DPS. I don't really think that's worth it. Solo ult their supports if you can, if you have to. If you can, you know, look for the team play. Look for the opportunity where you can kill like 2 or 3 of them with, you know, your ult. But if all else fails, solo ult the support, right? And I know some may say that's kind of toxic, but if it gets the win, it gets the win. That's all I'm saying. It's a pretty good ult. It used to be even stronger. I swear it used to do like 200 damage or something, like the explosion, and it used to be really absurd. They did, I think, nerf it, I believe. I remember her being relatively strong when she first came out. Her healing was bad, and they did buff that, but then her damage was really, really good. So she was basically just a walking DPS, and with, you know, added healing on the side. Like, I'm sorry, there was no difference between, on release, Illari, there was no difference between her and like Soldier 76. Like, Soldier gives healing with his little can. Like, not a can, it's a... What is this thing called? It's a biotic field? Yeah, that's it. There was no difference between the two of them, really. Illari was doing insane damage with, you know, pathetic healing, and Soldier is kind of, you know, in a similar camp, I suppose. And maybe not insane damage, but you get the idea. But yeah, her ult was pretty good. It does, you know, big damage. That's all it is, though. It's just big damage. It doesn't really give... That's why I say she's kind of an off support, because most other supports, you know, have, you know, supportive ults, stuff that heals, shields, buffs, whereas Illari is just, you know, blow that bastard to smithereens, you know, just blow them up. But anyways, moving on from her actual kit, let's talk about her perks, the first of which being Rapid Construction, where Healing Pylon will build 300% faster, and its cooldown is reduced by 1.5 seconds, meaning its cooldown is 12.5 at full max, and its normal cooldown is 5.5. You also have Summer Solstice, where activating your ultimate will grant Illari 3 extra seconds of flight, 20% increased flight speed, and 30% increased attack speed, which just further emphasizes the DPS idea behind her ultimate. I personally never pick Summer Solstice due to the fact that it's obviously only up during your ult, and the Rapid Construction is up all the time, and it benefits the pylon quite a lot. A shuttle cooldown is, you know, quite nice just generally to have, and the speed at which it crafts itself is also very good. You can almost immediately just like chuck it out and get healing going like instant. Like, that is basically instant healing, and good healing at that. So yeah, I usually pick Rapid Reconstruction myself, and then you get to our major perks, that being Solar Flare, which I believe is new this season. You can press the left click whilst using her healing beam to consume 50% of the energy and heal allies in front of Illari for 100 healing. So this allows you to kind of, you know, heal multiple people at once with your ult fire, which does bump up her healing output by quite a bit. The other perk is known as Sunburst, where your outburst will ignite enemies, dealing additional 70 damage over 3 seconds, which is, you know, pretty good. It's kind of like an Ash Dynamite, but on your outburst, which is, you know, pretty neat. It's a bit of extra damage, kind of disincentivize divers even more, because now, like, say, Genji gets pushed back, but now he's on fire, and that's like 95 damage in total, because the actual outburst does 25 to begin with. But instead of picking that, I am going to show the Solar Flare. So, say, for example, we have these 2 allies in front of me, and I press Solar Blast. The both of them will get healed for the big chunk of 100 healing. Does it have the thingy description? It doesn't have, like... What's the cooldown for this? 8 seconds. It's got 8-second cooldown, so you can't just, like, you know, spam 2 big bursts of healing, like, immediately. Like, if I just keep this going full health just for a minute, have the both of them, you know, lose a bit of health. Like, oh no, I'm healing this person quick. You get the idea. It's kind of, it gives them more burst healing, and more importantly, a team-wide healing source outside of our healing pylon. Because for the most part, Illari is kind of a single target healer. Like, obviously the beam only targets one person, the pylon can only target one person at a time. So this gives her kind of a team-wide healing resource, which is, you know, quite good. I like the perk a lot. Bumps her healing output up even higher, makes her more viable as a main healer per se. And then again, it is a major perk, so you will usually take a while to get to it. So it's not, she can't be just used as a major or main healer just because it's one perk, but you get my point. But yeah, Illari's kit as a whole is fun. It's fun. I just don't know really how good it is. Her healing output is good, but she is very much a character who suffers from the fact that she doesn't have much utility per se. And what do I mean when I say utility? I do mean stuff like, for example, Anna's biotic grenade that gives you, gives your allies extra healing received or anti-heal on enemies, or someone like Kiriko who has, like her Suzu, which gives the cleanse, gives a burst of healing. Like, Illari, all things considered, just has healing. Like, she has good damage, and that could be considered her utility, but there are other supports who have good damage on top of providing utility. Like, for example, Baptiste. Baptiste has really good damage because of his weapon. His weapon is really, really solid, but he also has Immortality Field, which allows enemy or allies to just, well, per the name, not die. So he has good damage, but he also does have his utility, and he also has very good healing. Someone like, say, Juno, her healing's really shit right now, but that's besides the point. You get the idea what I'm going for. She has, of course, her thingy, her ring, which can give the entire team a speed boost, whilst also doing okay healing and okay damage. I feel like Kiriko is probably the best comparison, because Kiriko obviously has, protective Suzu, but she also has really good damage herself, and also very solid healing, and a lot of utility through her ultimate. Like, a lot of utility. You see that wall of text, like, that's a lot. But Illari is very much a character who just kind of has healing to her name and not too much else. Like, what? Let's talk about utility for her. What? Sun? Her ult? That she can only use every now and then? But even then, that's just a DPS ult to do a bunch of damage. Like, she doesn't have... Does she have any utility, really? Maybe my definition of utility is skewed. Maybe most people would consider her good damage to be the utility she has, but yeah, I don't know, she suffers from not really having much utility and just doing healing, which, again, as I mentioned in my Anna video, Anna is arguably like top 3 DP or top 3 support like all the damn time, just because of how loaded her kit is. And well, if all you can do is healing, all it takes is one grenade to stop that. Like, it's, I don't know. Illari is good. She's fun to play as, I'll give her that. I like her. I like playing as her. I like the good damage. I like the, fat healing numbers I see at the end of the game, but she does struggle a bit from the fact that she is kind of, missing a bit of utility. But anyways, with all of that said, I would like to now move on to talking about her design as well as her cosmetics. Now, when it comes to Illari's design, I am pretty indifferent to it, I must admit. I do like it, but I don't like it, if that makes sense. I'm not like jumping head over heels, clicking my heels, yeah, for it. There is probably a lot of Peruvian inspiration that I'm missing, I must admit, as, someone who isn't Peruvian. I feel like I should have mentioned that as well, actually, earlier. She is actually from Peru, and by definition, Peruvian. And I think, that's neat. I am definitely someone, words, they're really difficult, ain't they? I'm someone who champions for all of these characters to be from all of these different regions of the world. Like, I love it when we get characters from places that haven't been explored in Overwatch yet, like, or even just in other games. Like, when they announced in Valorant that Fade was from Turkey, I was like, really? From Turkey? You never see anyone from Turkey in any video games. Like, am I stupid? Like, unless I'm just not playing the right games, you never see people from Turkey. I've never seen anyone from Peru in a video game before. And I think it's cool that Illari is in the game and is someone from Peru. She is Peruvian. And just like as a point of reference as well, like when it got announced that Hazard was from Scotland, I'd actually jump for joy. Like when we got that teaser trailer for him, where he's like, it's looking like our evolution. I was like, Scotland! Scottish character, finally! Like, I like it when we get characters from, all these different regions. I will admit this game does have kind of a overplayed issue of Americans and Asians. We do have a lot of both of them, like 1, 2, well, there's an Asian, that's a Canadian. People would argue that's not the same. Yeah, maybe another American, another Asian, and well, if you just go to the support section, Asian? Yeah, okay. You get the idea. This game does have a consistency of, doing a lot of Asian characters and a lot of American characters. So whenever it's, we get someone from like Peru, It's Scotland. Like, wait, I don't really see that very often. Maybe Scotland a bit more than Peru, but you get the idea. But anyways, enough of me talking about ethnicities and countries and such. Illari's design is pretty solid. I mean, there isn't really too much for me to say about it. Again, as I said, there might be Peruvian inspirations that I'm missing. I would like to point out that I do quite like the tattoos. Those are the solar. I really wish I could like zoom in on her face somehow. Isn't there there's a thingy, right? This highlight intro is probably a good way to show it. You see these kind of tattoos on her forehead and underneath her eyes? Those are the indicators of the solar, what was it called? Solar threading? They're like how, they're I don't know actually what they do, like what the tattoos do, but they're to show that she has, you know, solar powers. And of course, as well, her hair. Her hair has the solar threading for it, and as a result, as you saw in that highlight intro, or in this highlight intro, it causes it to glow whenever she's using, like, you know, captive sun and such. Her eyes also glow yellow when using it, and I think that's cool. I mean, she's basically a Super Saiyan. Like, look at the aura. She has the aura. She has the glowing gold hair. She has the aura. She's literally a Super Saiyan. That is really cool. I can't lie. I am very... I feel like I should mention this. I am a very big fan of Dragon Ball. Like, a huge fan of Dragon Ball. I play the game. I mean, I've watched all of the show, like every version of it, like original Dragon Ball, Z, GT, Super, Daima. I've watched both of the films, so Broly and Superhero in the theaters. Like, I love Dragon Ball. So anything that even remotely reminds me of it is going to get a smile out of me. So yeah, her going basically Super Saiyan whenever she does Captive Sun, it's kind of cool. She gets the aura, gets glowing gold hair. I see that as a win. And if I'm not wrong, I think these, like her, what would you call that? These are braids, obviously, right? I might be getting it wrong, and I do apologize in advance. But like these hairbands, and they're clearly made of metal. Either way, I think they break during her ult. If I'm not wrong, yeah, because it kind of looks like it's just flowing freely instead of being, you know, like the two braids at the back, which is interesting. I don't know how the links or the hairbands come back, but hey, she also has, obviously, you see those like golden stripes in her hair. Those are the signs of her solar threading as well. But yeah, her outfit's pretty decent. I mean, it's nothing too much to say about it. Nice color scheme, I will admit. Very varied color scheme. Like, you've got gold, you've got kind of maroon, brownish color, you've got red, blue, yellow. You've got obviously this kind of black cloak that she has. Like, there's a lot of colors here, but they all kind of work quite nicely together, which is neat. I would also like to mention, I don't know where else I was going to mention this, but she is actually the youngest character in the game. She is 18 years old, makes her younger than Diva, who before her I believe before her was the youngest character. I think Diva's 19, maybe? And then Illari is 18. The only other characters who are like super young are like Juno and Wu Yang. I think Wu Yang's 19, so is Juno. So yeah, well, now I think about it, a lot of our recent characters are like really young. Like, a lot of the Overwatch 2 cast are really young. I think Kiriko's in her 20s. Lifeweaver's in his 30s, to my knowledge. Venture's in their 20s. Yeah, but like Wu Yang is like 19. Juno is 19. Illari is 18. Like a good few of it's all the supports. Like Freya's like 20, 30, I think. I'm actually not sure how old Freya is. Hazard's in his mid-20s. Yeah, why are all the supports like under 20? Now I'm thinking about that. Why are all of our new supports like Juno, Wu Yang, Illari? They're all just young as shit. Anyways, her design is pretty good. I'm also quite fond of her weapon. I really like this gun. This is a very interesting looking weapon. It's got a very unique shape language to it. Just having this big chunky barrel that kind of like opens up in the middle to obviously shoot the beams out of it. It's got nice decals on it with the sort of sun symbol and the lining. Got the energy thing here where she actually like puts the sun energy in it. I know this is a very cool weapon. I like that it can be used as a sword simultaneously. Like, this is a blade. Like, when you do her melee, obviously she like swipes with the sword because it is a melee weapon and a gun at the same time, which I think is a really cool idea. Like, her weapon to me is probably the most interesting thing about her character's silhouette. Like, I really like this weapon. And the pylon is a pylon. I don't really know how to say any. It looks a bit like a claw more than anything. Like, if you like, it kind of looks like something I could kind of like put my hand in and use as like a weapon. But yeah, I mean, a pylon is a pylon. What do you want me to say about it? Yeah, her design is pretty good. As I said, I'm very fond of Super Saiyan Illari. I think that's a really cool idea. And look, there you go. You can see like the gun open up, and then she actually like puts the sun energy in there. She got some. I wish she had more highlight intros actually. Again, like eyes glow, the little thing on her forehead glows as well. I feel like that's a cool thing to mention. Yeah, look, that segment of her skin starts glowing, which is quite interesting. And of course, this highlight intro is new. I actually really like this. It's kind of simple, smart, kind of cheesy. Quite fond of it. It is weirdly, though, missing the highlight intro sound. You know, like the whoosh. It's not a whip sound, but you know that like that thud sound. Like if you won't be able to hear it because I'll turn down the volume on my game, but like in the other highlight intros, it has the or whatever you would call it. you know what I'm on about. You've probably heard the highlight intro sound before. But moving on from her base design, which again, as I said, just to round it out, I think is pretty solid. I just don't have too much to say on it. I think her gun is the coolest thing about her, really. Her skin collection, she's been treated relatively well, all things considered. Overwatch, I'm probably going to mention it many a times, there's a weird thing where they just seem to neglect POC characters. Like, I'm sorry, Sojourn has gotten done dirty. She's got a decent handful of skins, but like they are not good. They are not. Venture is the biggest example of it. Venture is POC, and I mean, 1, 2, 3 legendaries. They came out in season 10. I'm going to talk about her a lot. She's next video. I'm going to talk about this more in depth with her. This character came out 2 seasons after Venture. 1, 2, Mythic, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do you notice anything about her skin color? And Ventures. Right, you understand. I'm sure you understand where I'm going. You understand what I'm getting at. But unlike Venture, Illari has been treated surprisingly well. I do think that is due to the fact that she is a young, kind of attractive woman, but that is besides the point. These were her release skins. These are very, these really remind me of thingy. What's his face from Dark Souls? Solaris? Is that his name? I remember his name. She has a thingy, doesn't she? Swear she had a, yeah, she's got a reference to Praise the Sun. Yeah, she has a Praise the Sun. It might be not referenced, or it might not be a reference. It might be, but this is, to me, a reference to Praise the Sun from Dark Souls 1 and Solaris. So yeah, this kind of does remind me of Solaris and kind of the Sun Knight armor. Like, this is a cool fit, actually. I really like this outfit. The cape is gorgeous. I love the sun decals on it. And the gun also looks really, really pretty. I really love the decoration, or like the engravings on where the bullets go, and like the clock handle. This all looks very cool. And even a pylon actually gets some extra details with the Roman numerals on the side. It's kind of a really good skin. She does have a collab skin in Transformers, RC. Yes, I did buy the entire Transformers bundle. I'm an autistic white man. What do you think I was going to do? Not buy it? You stupid? They put Ramatra as Megatron. That's like an easy win for me. But this is a pretty good skin. It's not super crazy to me. She gets a cool voice filter whenever she has it, which is unique. It's kind of a robotic voice filter. I think that's a really cool addition. I like the cape. I don't know if she really fits RC personally. I do think Tracer would have been a better fit for RC, just off the sole fact that RC is, a bike and she go fast. And I think that fits Tracer quite well. But I'm not obviously upset with RC going to Illari. I do find it interesting that the pylon doesn't really get any additional details in a collab skin of all things. The gun is pretty decent, bit square for my liking, but still, she was in the bundle. I was going to get it anyway because Ramatra, Megatron, Optimus Prime, Reinhardt, like, that's easy wins for me, really. But besides that, llama pajamas. She does have a pet llama. I should mention that. She has a pet llama called Chuno. I think that's how you say it. I do think she has a spray of it somewhere. I think. If we just scroll up, should be right about... I think I went past it. I'm very sorry for this segment. I really apologize. Where the hell is just the Overwatch section? Yeah, look, Tuna. This is her pet llama. Kind of odd that it has, her color scheme, funny enough. But, hey-ho. She's got some decent sprays, actually. I'm not going to show sprays in, like, every video, but, like, yeah, look at Tuna. He looks funny. Yeah, she has a pet llama, so llama pajamas. It's a cute skin, funny skin, cool idea. I like that it's kind of a llama's head at the end. Pylon, again, doesn't really get any changes. Night Raven, not fond. It's just a flat color scheme for me. It's just all kind of different various shades of blue on top of each other that just doesn't look good. The gun looks weird with all the feathers, and the Pylon. Oh, the Pylon has a different design. I didn't know that. It's got different legs and actual detail. Interesting. Thoth. Okay, I know Zenyatta already has a Ra skin, but you make an Egyptian-themed battle pass. You have a character that literally uses the power of the sun, and you do not give her Ra, the god of the sun. I think that is very stupid. But the skin is okay. It's fine enough. I don't know if she really fits Thoth. Thoth, to my remembrance, is the god of knowledge and books, if I remember rightly. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if that really fits Illari in any way, but hey-oh. Otherwise, she has Winter Pajama. I never got that. Black Cat. One of my friends owns this. It's fine. I think it's quite cute. I really like the hair, actually. Really good hair detail here. It's fine enough skin. Decent. Fearless. This is her other collab skin, the Seraphim one. She fits right in with the Seraphim one. I did actually mistakenly think I had a Apex Legends post on my For You page, because I don't, this haircut, or this hairstyle just immediately reminded me of Lifeline from Apex Legends. Like, I just kind of like permanently just associate this haircut with Lifeline, because I used to play Apex a bunch when it first came out, and Lifeline was like one of my go-tos. This is a fantastic skin. I'm not paying 35 quid for it, but it's a fantastic skin. Poolside, this is recent. This is a really, really pretty skin, and you're able to actually see more of the tattoos on her body, which is nice. You actually get to see like what the full body detail of the solar threading looks like, which is neat. It's interesting that the ones on her face in her normal skin are kind of, you know, black lines, but for some reason in this skin, they are golden across her body, which is interesting. And then you have her recent recolor of the cat skin, which is fine. It's fine. It's whatever. It exists. It exists. Yeah. Cosmetic-wise, she has a decent lineup. There's many options to pick from that are pretty good. She has a good handful of Battle Pass skins, all things considered, like 3 legendaries and a really, really, really good epic. Like, this is a amazing epic. Yeah, the Season 9 sucked, right? I've said in a previous video, I hated Season 9. But I did still get to tier 10 so I could get the skin, because this skin is incredible. I really love the epics in that battle pass. That was amazing. And this is a pretty good skin as well. I have this from the starter pack last season. Yeah, she's a good selection of skins to pick from. She gets them distributed relatively often. I mean, this was last season. This is from this season. This is from, I believe, the season before last. I think it's like season 17. Like, this was I forget when some skins come out. But she's got a decent selection. Not a lot of choice to pick from. Her base design's pretty good. Her cosmetic lineup is pretty good. Decent. And with all of that said, all that done and dusted, this is the end of the video. Again, as I said in the intro, like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined, and if you enjoyed it. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether that be a good morning, afternoon, evening, etc. And when it comes to final thoughts on Illari, I do wish her story was further explained, or further elaborated on. I don't need characters to, you know, like, justify their reasons for being in Overwatch. Seen a lot of people kind of throw those words around. I know I kind of sounded like it earlier. I do apologize for that, but like, I don't need characters to justify why they're in Overwatch, but when your lore has no connections to anything going on at all, I do kind of get frustrated, especially when that lore isn't, you know, further explained upon. Like, we don't know anything about the Inti Warriors. We don't really know how solar threading works, both how it actually, you know, came to be, how it works on a human being, like how someone with solar threading controls the solar powers. Like, we don't know any of that. That all just frustrates me, and the fact that she isn't connected to anyone in any way, shape, or form does get on my nerves. Like, at least someone like Juno has a connection to Mei through the fact that, you know, Mei is her auntie, or someone like Hazard that used to look up to Overwatch, used to have respect for them, but due to obviously events that happened in his time or his life, he just lost respect for him. It's part of the Freaks, a group that we knew existed and we wanted to see, or at least I wanted to see from them. But yeah, it's just annoying that Illari just doesn't have, you know, anything. She doesn't have much, and her story has not been developed upon since. But yeah, I think her gameplay's fun, her cosmetic lineup is good, her design is pretty solid, and her story is like the one big thing that kind of just annoys me. But with all that said, hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Good morning, afternoon, evening, etc. Already said that. And the next video will be on none other than a character that I've already mentioned like 2 times in this video, Juno.